bell tolls. The midnight hour is upon us. It's time once again for two internet strangers to discuss the good and evil of the horror genre. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the terror within the Hallow-Holics Anonymous podcast.
Whoa! I'm hearing the bell jingle off the old jangle, and you know what that means. We get to leave? No way, man. It's time for a listener call-in. All right, baby, you're on the line. What do you want from the old coyote?
Hey, Coyote Jake. Long-time listener. First-time caller. I was wondering if Corey...
I said we were going to keep it chill, and I meant it.
Oh, thank God. Thought he was going to talk about pumpkin carving.
It's a time-consuming process, Maddie. Sometimes it takes 5 or 10 minutes to describe slowly, in excruciating detail. Oh, yeah, babies, I think you know what time it is now. You've got a choice to either pick the first finger I'm going to cut off from one of you cool cats or start the podcast.
Well, I mean, that's a tough call.
We're starting the podcast.
Hi, I'm Maddy.
And I'm Corey. And I'm your host, the one and only crazy coyote guy, Jake. And this is Hallow-Holics Anonymous, a show dedicated to all things horror and occasionally Halloween.
Oh man, the second episode, the second run of Rocktober. Rocktober 2, Electric Boogaloo.
How many times can we say Rocktober in one intro? So far, 3.
This episode, we're talking about Phantom of the Paradise and Black Roses.
Which I got confused about very early on and thought I got to focus on Phantom of the Paradise, but I was wrong and didn't find out until the day we were actually supposed to record this that I'm actually supposed to be doing Black Roses. So I had to suffer through Black Roses 4 times total, and I'll explain to you why later. Yes, Maddie, I had to watch it again this weekend.
God. Again?
And I still don't. We'll get to it. Anyway,
yeah. It should be plastered in your brain now.
I know. We'll talk about it.
Is that the most times you've had to watch a movie for this show?
For this show, yes.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Phantom of the Paradise that one was a pretty easy one to get through.
Oh my God, it's so good. I love Phantom of the Paradise.
If you think about it, though, our first Rocktober, Rock was kind of saving the day. But in this episode, Rock is the villain.
Yes, Rock is in mine, it's definitely the villain. In yours, it's...
Well, if Swan represents the rock industry.
Well, Swan represents a small business owner coming up from nothing, and the Phantom ruining his big opening. But we'll talk about that.
Oh gosh, one of your hot takes.
Point is, they have rock and roll in them, so they count.
Oh, and
I completely lost my train of thought.
Well, before I forget and we move on, I would just like to thank James of Pop Cult Net for his ad on our podcast last week.
Yeah, dude, thank you very much. And thank you for the new one, too. I like it even more. It's even funnier.
If you guys like hearing about all things pop culture, check out the Pop Cult Net podcast.
Also, he interviewed Maddie because apparently she's the interesting one.
Well, you're never on mine.
I feel like I'm going to keep making jokes about that I wasn't involved in that, and you're going to start taking me seriously. But, for the record, so everyone knows it, I don't mind. We are allowed to do things separately.
Well, I might start volunteering you then as a guest.
That's fine. That's fine.
No, by the way, you have an interview.
No, I'll do them. As long and I'll actually show up as opposed to just about everybody we've ever tried to have on our show.
We had one cool guy on our show so far.
Yes, but we've tried to have. Well, we're still going to get this. The guy that we're supposed to have this month, I still have faith that he's going to pop around eventually.
Yeah.
But the other two, one was yours and one was mine, and they both flaked.
Yeah, like dandruff.
You're super flaked, like day
man.
of flaked. Mine at least just kind of stopped talking to me and I lost interest in talking to them.
Let's hope no one flakes out about October 12th, which is the day we're recording this.
La 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 la, this day.
No.
What's wrong with that? Oh, that's what's wrong with that. Eyes up and shut. All right, wait, fuck. What is happening here? Okay, wait, what? Huh? Why does this not do what it's supposed to do anymore?
All right, there we go. On this day in horror history.
Deborah Foreman was born in 1962. She starred in April Fool's Day and Waxworks. Josephine Hutchison, who played Elsa von Frankenstein in Son of Frankenstein, was born. And Dead Eyes of London, as well as the Klaus Kinski version of Jack the Ripper were released alongside the original Puppet Master from 1989.
I like Frankenstein and Puppet Master.
Okay.
And that was on this day in horror history.
I did not prepare this week's game. I'm sorry.
And I never prepare anything, but I'm not going to apologize for being me.
So let's work out exactly what sort of game we have to play this week to warm up the episode.
Let's just try something. Satanic.
No.
Panic game.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see.
What'd you think I was going to do?
I don't know. I wasn't planning on any rituals tonight, Corey.
Wait, there was a Kickstarter for a tabletop game about Satanic Panic, which is funny considering how much D&D was involved in that. I wonder if this ever came out. Oh, apparently it did. I missed the Kickstarter, but I can still get a copy. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here to lazily look for a game.
Why don't we come up with hit single titles for monsters or something?
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, try 5 each.
I think maybe let's start with 3 and see how good it goes with this one.
Okay.
Do you think that's fair?
I think that's fair. Unless we turn out to be really good at this.
Yeah, unless this is like the funniest thing we ever did. Then we'll just do it for the rest of the episode. But
chances are it's probably going to be not so much.
Yeah, we don't want to tie ourselves down to 5 terrible jokes each. 3 each is a little more manageable for our audience.
Okay, so yours is the shark from Jaws. If he released a hit rock single, what would it be called and what style of rock?
Soft rock, definitely, with a clarinet solo in there, a la like Kenny G.
Ooh.
And I think it would be called Sharks Don't Roar. And it would be a very sad, tragic sounding sort of like thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, like, let me see if I can come up with a line here. I know how, like, the sharks don't roar. Like, that's obviously the title.
Okay, so he can just straight up speak human languages.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is we're trying to get rid of that stupid roar that is in all the Jaws movies.
Okay.
No, do you not remember the roar I'm talking about? It's that canned roar that was so popular for so long.
Goodness.
I don't know. I can't do it. What's a word that rhymes with roar?
Poor. Whore.
That's exactly
lore.
Whore. I don't want a whore.
Gore. Thor.
Since you left me, my heart has been poor. I want to scream, but sharks don't roar. That's perfect. Boom.
Oh my God. Someone please write that song for us and send it in. I promise we'll play it on the podcast.
Oh, it's just too bad I'm such a lazy songwriter and don't do that genre at all, because you actually need talent for that genre, or I would do it. Good old Victor Crowley from Hatchet.
Oh, well, it's definitely got to be like a Flashdance style power ballad.
Yes, it does.
And he lives in a kind of swamp area, that's right?
Kind of swamp area?
A swamp.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, that was kind of his whole point. You don't go to his swamp.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I forget not everybody has like an unhealthy obsession with the Hatchet movies like I do. Most people don't even like them. I forget that.
Dancing Through the Sludge. And it's kind of like that sort of a main song in that one movie we talked about that I have the soundtrack for, Streets of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Okay.
do.
Yeah, so sort of like Meatloaf wrote it, but didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he's like spinning, because there's definitely an intense music video with a lot of insane lighting in this like scenario, right?
Oh, for sure. And that running in place dance from
While he's
Flashdance has done a lot.
while he's like swinging an axe with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, do. It has it dancing through the marsh. So something along the lines of he doesn't have a voice, does he?
No.
Okay, so it's going to be more like.
Oh, so you're keeping yours based in reality then?
Yes, I am. I'm actually very realistic with how I interpret music artists.
Fair enough.
So that's that one. I'm going to give.
Oh, I almost aspirated. Sorry. Continue. I've quit vaping, guys. So I still need a constant influx of nicotine. I'm sorry, I'm derailing this. Just people are going to notice me chewing eventually. Because when you quit smoking, you go to vaping, and instead of like a cigarette an hour or whatever, you're vaping nonstop. At least I was. So now that I've quit, I need like to step down, but I also need like a constant level of nicotine in my bloodstream.
Yes.
So I'm always chewing nicotine gum now. So
You know who should probably quit nicotine gum?
this day in horror history.
No. Evil Ash from RV of Darkness.
Oh, that's my next one. Nice segue.
Yeah.
I'm so used to having to do the Evil Ash's song is military. What are those called? Military. Not a shanty.
Military. What are those called? Like
Maybe a cadence? Is a cadence a thing?
a cadence is sort of the rhythm with which you're
Oh, okay.
like a military number, just military number. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely called Sally Forth, and the entire song is just dun 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 dun.
So you're just really
Sally Flop.
So you're taking the damn song that's in the movie.
Dun 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 dun. Sally Flop. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to. I thought this was an original thought. All right, next.
I love those skeletons playing those bone flutes in that sequence.
God, I forgot all about you. I really did just subconsciously rip off that scene. Shoot. In my defense, everyone,
You're like, I'm Corey.
I am me, and I have not watched that movie in at least 10 years. At least.
Which makes me think we knew to eventually do an Evil Dead trilogy retrospective.
Well, if we've got to do everything then.
Yeah,
We've got
including the series.
In the series.
Would we talk about the comics?
I feel like if we talk about the comics, we really need to only talk about the Marvel Zombies versus Ash, because they were the only ones that really interested me.
Yeah, that would be the one I would be talking about. But
Yeah.
what's my next challenge on this game? On this terrible game?
I'm really enjoying. I don't think anybody else is enjoying it, but I'm having a blast. Yours is Radu from Subspecies.
Oh my god! Are you serious?
I'm always serious when I talk about Radu, dude. You know that.
Okay, well, it's obviously going to have to be a ballad. You're tearing up my bloodstone.
You're tearing. That could work.
Yeah, or you can't get blood from my heartstone.
Oh, well.
You can't squeeze love
Only
from
I
my
can
bloodstone.
Get blood. That's pretty good too.
Yeah. Love from a bloodstone. There we go.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I got it. And lyrics would be something like, there's got to be some sad jazz sax at some point. Well, this is still a bit of a rock thing. He's got his hair combed back, kind of like Michael. Oh, Michael.
Perry from Streets of Fire again.
No, like
Michael Bublé.
No. He's an 80s singer.
Michael Landon?
Oh, I'm going crazy. He did that Valentine special.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I would really like to, though, so...
Oh, gosh. Michael Bolton.
Oh, Michael Bolton.
He has his hair done like Michael Bolton. And he's got,
I should have realized that, because you can't invoke Kenny G without bringing up Michael Bolton.
Exactly. So he's definitely got a Michael Bolton vibe when he's singing this.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't, lyrics would be something like, I don't know. I can't think of any lyrics for this. Heart from a Bloodstone, yeah.
It'd be a little bit like the Jaws one, I think. It's got to be about him losing his fortune, his birthright, and how all that he wants is love, but you can't squeeze love from the bloodstone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you just want me to write this song for you. You're not gonna, I'm trying to set you up for something here and you're just making me do it.
Okay. And there are no tears, 'cause you can't get on from a bloodstone. There we go. You have
All right, good, perfect.
Just wanted me to try to sing like Michael Bolton. Poorly,
yes.
didn't you? You know what? I'm going to give you Angela from Night of the Demons.
Oh, Angela, I love you. So I feel like it needs to be like that Every Day I'm Shuffling song that was famous like 10 years ago.
Okay, but remember, it's got to be in the rock genre.
No, it doesn't.
What? I thought the rule was rock.
The rule is whatever I decided.
Oh, okay.
It's my turn. But this can, okay. So there's guitar. There's rock guitar in it. But it's got a very danceable beat.
Okay.
It's about partying.
Okay.
Crap.
Okay.
I'm digging my hole, but I have no way to get out of it.
Let's see. She's possessed. She's a demon. She dances. She's kind of a loser.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wouldn't go as far as she was different.
She's an outsider.
There you go. She was a fringe person.
And she's in a black wedding dress.
No, you know what? I'm going to change it. This is another sad rock ballad.
Okay.
About nobody coming to her party. We're talking not the remake.
Okay.
This is
not
the
like
original.
Leslie
Because
Gore,
people actually came to the party in the remake. But yeah, it's called. How many people showed up? Was it 6?
Oh yeah, it seemed like well, let's see. There's the couple.
Yes.
Yes,
the big guy. Yeah, Angela.
There's the poor street guy, the kind of like Fonzie
and then
dude.
Then that one girl, the like lead girl.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Linnea Quigley. So we're up to 8. But I'm pretty sure there was one more that we're forgetting. There was a 9, maybe even a 10.
At any rate, go on.
We'll just say it's called. We'll say there were 9 people there. It's called Only 9, and it's a very tragic, sad song about how only 9 people showed up and how that she just doesn't have anybody in her life.
Okay.
And the lyrics are stating how she wants something to enter this hole in her heart, but it turns out to be a demon rather than a functional relationship.
All right. So how would that lyric go?
I feel like it would be something like we've got to go through like milestones in her life. So like first day of preschool, 9 people came.
Oh.
First winning goal, 9 people saw.
Ooh.
You know, it kind of goes like through her life, and it's always just these 9 people.
Yeah.
And till she has this party, and 9 people came.
Okay, so she's sad that she became evil and murdered her friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she is, not the demon.
Of course. Oh, is there like a half, like sort of like guitar solo bit where evil Angela comes out, or?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that, but yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like 9 people's all you need.
Oh, this is turning into a show tune.
Only 9 people came. It's I work in theater. Everything's a show tune in my head. I can't help it.
Oh, it's true.
American Werewolf in London. I almost did Paris just to be a jerk, but we'll go with a good one.
Okay, so this is kind of be like, I'm thinking like Neil Young style folk rock.
Yeah, I can hear that.
So, maybe Out on the Moors? Or Blood on the Moors? Yeah.
Oh, that makes me think it's like a Creedence Clearwater Revival thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
exactly.
Born on the Bayou, only in the misty moors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can totally see that.
You're making me do your homework again.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Either that or you're psychoanalyzing me. Either way, I don't like it.
I'm like a squiggly character, squiggly lines. So lyrics would be something like, oh, now I've just got Left a Good Job in the City stuck in my head. I can't just take that song. But a part of me wants to.
Do it. It's our show, our rules. Except for the rules of copyright.
Friend to pieces, looking for a way back to USA. Yeah, got it. All right.
That's not bad.
Yeah. That's the game.
Thank you for suffering through that, everybody. Honestly, that was fun. I think we could have done 5. I don't want to do 5, but I think we could have done 5, and it would have been entertaining.
Maybe we need to do sort of impromptu games more often.
I think that will work as often as it won't. So sometimes that's all we can ask.
Yeah. Oh, man. But you know what? You know what's really important to remember?
What?
How delicious pizza is.
What?
Tell them, Coyote Guy Jake.
Oh, is there more? Am I missing something?
Well, what do you think, Coyote Guy Jake?
Did you write something I don't have, or are you trying to get me to...
I'm trying to get you to lead into the ad here. Get me a break.
The trailer?
No. The pizza ad, Teddy's Pizza.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break from all this action to bring you a word from our sponsor. Hope y'all like pizza.
We here at Teddy's know exactly what you want in a pizza. Hot, fresh bread with just the right crust, wonderful tomato sauce spread just the right way, and all the toppings you can imagine. Any way you slice it, nobody makes a better pizza than Teddy's. Bring your friends, bring your family, and don't forget to bring your virgin sacrifice. Located just to the left of hell, we'll make sure you don't regret selling your soul for the great flavors of Teddy's Pizza.
And now, back to the show.
That pizza sounds like it must be pretty good.
I think Coyote Guy Jake likes it.
Yeah, and he's certainly a level-headed individual.
Yeah, he seems quite stable, and he's been very nice to us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, very nice, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we should start with your movie, actually, before we do mine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, get this.
Be done with it.
Out of the way. Guys, we're only going to do part of the trailer because this trailer is 4.5 minutes long.
Maybe it'll help me remember what I missed in my 4 watchings. Let's make Blood City.
Let's make Blood City.
It was the kind of place where nothing much ever happened.
And they got the classic trailer narrator, too.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple of Ferraris driving it. This is all very confusing to me. Like,
has just arrived.
Oh, if those chaps are confusing.
Yeah. If they're this band of demons, why do they have to do all their own PR? Like, why are they out, like, go hand out flyers, rock and roll band?
Now here comes the biggest thing to hit Mill Basin ever, and they try to stop it.
They don't understand what a great honor this is. They didn't have to pick Mill Basin for their first concert.
I don't suppose there's any real harm to them.
Oh, that rogue is a natural disaster.
I hate everything about him.
But once their fears are laid to rest,
He looks evil. There goes pedophile teacher.
the stage is set. The message given.
I found this leather outfit he had on, very disturbing.
Turned loose.
I mean, it's no less disturbing than any other leather outfit I've seen, really.
It doesn't look like a leather outfit designed for a rocker. It looks like a fetish outfit, explicitly.
Well, to be fair, they're all technically fetish outfits. Like, back then, you couldn't just buy, like, stuff like that. Like, you were getting your clothes from, like, the fetish scene.
I do.
Or making it yourself, I guess.
Well, I think we've established everything we need to know about this movie with the trailer so far.
Me too.
Take it away, Corey.
All right, so I'm gonna
take it away. Take it away, please.
I would like to start with a little bit of a disclaimer at the beginning of this. I have watched this movie 4 times in the last 2 weeks. The first 2 times I watched it because, well, the first time I watched it, I completely forgot immediately after watching it what I had just seen. Nothing stayed in my brain. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll watch it again right before we record. And I did. And then we ended up not recording that night, and I found out that it was my movie, because I originally thought Phantom of the Paradise was my movie. So I've watched it twice at this point. The first 2 times thinking it was not my movie and not retaining anything those 2 times. So I went and watched it a 3rd time with the objective of actually retaining knowledge to speak to you fine listeners and Maddy about. And I did a little teeny bit, I remembered. And I panicked yesterday, like last night, because I didn't think I remembered enough of it. So I went back and I watched it a 4th time. And I was right. I didn't really remember all of it. Like, there's this one part where a teacher gets tossed out a 3rd-story window. And I didn't remember that happening until the 4th time I saw the movie.
He was gullible enough to fly out that window, though, seriously.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the point is that for some reason, this movie is so forgettable to me that I just wasn't able to hold anything in my head about it. And I still am struggling a little bit to remember who did what. Like, for example, his girlfriend who gets her throat cut in the car.
Yes.
The girl who did that, is that the girl that has the crush on him, or was that a different? Okay, that was her.
Yes, that's
so
why
she did actually murder people too.
Yeah, that's why she showed up at his house and was like, "She's dead. I killed her." Blah 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 blah.
Right, and she is the one that turned into that weird.
Well, she's supposed to be, but I couldn't tell if she. I think it was a demon posing as her. They didn't.
Yeah, because he ended up killing that demon.
Yeah, and then she
was alive again.
Yeah.
And it did show us that, like, once you go full demon in this world, you can't be killed because at the end, the band didn't get killed.
Yeah.
They're still out doing what they're doing.
But if she was full demon, she would have gone with them.
Yeah, that's true, too.
And she wouldn't have been confused, horrified during that final battle scene.
Right. And it did show a bunch of those kids getting arrested and in trouble for what they did while they were demonized as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess she's probably rotting in prison as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my movie is The Black Roses. It's basically about
what everyone feared
in the 80s and 70s if it was real. Like, if everything people were afraid of happening, like, if the Satanists were really doing what everybody in the 80s thought Satanists were doing, then the world would be like Black Roses, only hopefully a little more interesting and less forgettable.
And maybe less pedophile teachers.
Maybe, but I think that's just something people had to deal with back then. I think everybody just touched kids in the 70s and 80s.
Oh my God.
Well, maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of people did. And it's bad. Like, it's very bad, obviously, but like, I just feel like maybe it happened more then because it wasn't talked about as much. You know what I mean? So, like, there were more, I guess that's what I mean. There were more people diddling kids back then because they could get away with it, maybe. Or maybe I just think everybody looks creepier in the 70s and 80s.
I think that's possible. I think
maybe
that's the hair and the hair and the bell bottoms.
Mustaches do it.
Yeah, and the suspiciously tight pants.
Well, my pants aren't suspiciously tight. Let me stand up. No, I mean my pants have some give to them. They're not
all right,
my
so you
pants
don't
are not
touch
being
kids.
hugged. I'm good. I mean, they're a little tight in the calves, but I think they complement my form all right.
Okay, all right. Welcome
this isn't
to
about my
Corey's
pants.
Hour.
This isn't about what I'm wearing.
So this was another Canada-American movie we watched for this month's, another Canadian horror film.
A North American horror film, if you will.
Oh, the dialogue. Oh, the dialogue in this movie.
The opening scene is this band playing a show, even though they had never played any shows before, according to the kids at the beginning of this. This is like it's this whole big thing because the Black Roses have only ever done studio work. They've only ever released records. They haven't toured or anything.
Maybe it was like a vision of what was to come.
Maybe, but this movie wasn't really smart enough to pull something like that off, right? I think they just got confused. I think they just wanted footage of the band in their full demon regalia and decided to say, screw the plot. Let's just throw this in at the beginning and nobody will notice because.
But I kind of liked that opening.
I think the opening was probably the only thing I enjoyed about this movie. Except for some reason, the brutality of that throat cut in the car got me a little.
Yeah.
I actually really like that too.
Yeah, that was the point when I was like, "Holy hell, this got dark."
And seeing the stereotypical Jersey Italian getting eaten by the
record,
the record
subwoofer.
Yeah, the speaker. That's what it was. Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this movie's about this band. They're coming and they're playing a bunch of shows in this tiny town. And the parents are all like, "Oh, this rock and roll's coming and it's gonna ruin the youth of our town." So there's all these adults trying to stop it, and there's a couple adults that are like, "Oh, just let the kids be kids. Remember Elvis, remember this, remember that." What if this was us kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it turns out the scared, angry parents were the correct ones because surprise, they are evil. They have their first show and kids start showing signs of obsession, and the band then gives all the kids free tickets to the next show, which I guess if you're looking at it from a spreading of the satanic gospel, that's a good idea. Yeah. Because you've introduced them, you've caught them, so you're bringing them back in for more. But if you want any sort of sustained movement, you're going to need to you don't want to just preach to the already converted. You're going to need to bring more people in. So by giving away these tickets to students who had already seen them in this already small town, they're not.
Well, they could have been working on the witchboard concept of progressive entrapment.
How do you mean?
Well, the idea is that at first you're not addicted, but gradually you do become addicted to this supernatural force the more you are around it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the murders didn't really start happening until after the second show, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the way, during that second show, when they were being corpseified and zapped, were they dying or just being transformed?
That was something else I kept having a problem with. I wasn't sure if those kids were being killed or they were just being turned into these, demon zombie things, because they were still moving. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell if they were moving and dancing around or if it was just the puppets getting jostled.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. It was fun.
Yeah, I thought it did too. I just don't understand the place it had in the movie. Really.
They reminded me of the Life Force puppets.
Yeah, kind of a cross between Life Force and was Beaker.
Dead?
No, Bunsen and Beaker, the Muppets.
Oh, yeah, Beaker's the thin
Beaker.
one,
Yeah, they reminded me of Beaker. Like dead. If Beaker was dead, they'd look like those puppets, I guess. I think it's the way they moved. They moved like Beaker. Because Beaker only moved his head.
What did you think of the music?
Pretty forgettable, again, because everything in this movie was super forgettable for some reason. I mean, it was your standard hair metal fare, music, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't it was all about I think it would have been cooler if they would have moved the plot along with the lyrics, but they didn't really do that. The lyrics were also just pretty much standard.
We're on the way to paradise.
Yeah. Don't do what your parents want, blah, 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 live like a rebel. Like, it was all that kind of crap.
I think it would have been better if they had used it as that style, some of that stuff, even just the guitar riffs as the underscore, but then they had this weird elevator music, like this cheap music as the emotional music that drove most of the film. Like very Trauma or like Full Moon Pictures style. This felt like a Full Moon Picture.
Oh, it did. It really did. I think it would have been. You still haven't seen Lords of Salem, have you?
No.
We need to do that soon because I really need to make you watch that.
Oh, great.
No, it's not bad. It's not like any of his other movies. It's more like a giallo film.
Okay, well, I can get behind that.
Yeah. But in that, like, it's sort of the same idea. The main character works at this record, or she works for a radio station, and this record shows up, and she plays it on air, and it's sort of the same deal. Like, it's a curse song. It sort of hypnotizes people into doing what they want, or what the song wants them to do, that kind of thing. But it's this sort of bassy, percussive non-song. You know, I would have preferred to hear something like avant-garde, like some like weird, like percussive industrial stuff.
Well, this wasn't the time for that. You wouldn't have heard something like that in a movie made in 1988.
Well, I mean, that music was around. It's been around since Musique Concrete.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have heard something creative like that in a low-budget 80s movie.
Well, I mean, Bauhaus showed up in Night of the Demons. It's possible. And there were bands like Throbbing Gristle and Skinny Puppy and stuff like that, I think, doing their... Yeah, because this was 88. So the music was out there. You know, they could have found it. But, I mean, that's not where they were going. I understand that it was the popularity of hair metal that was really pushing this movie, and it was all about making money off of that sort of thing. So I get why they didn't do it. I just think it would have worked a lot better, especially in that scene where the big fake-out scene.
Yeah.
Where the adults are at the show. Well, I think that's the second show, right?
It's the first show because the adults don't go back.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah. So
that 1 second costume change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The scene we're talking about is the first show. All the adults come in and the band comes out. They're wearing like strange white overcoat bathrobe things.
They're singing about how wonderful their town is.
Right. And they look like half-assed glam rock band or a half-assed hair metal band trying to look like a half-assed soft rock band.
Yeah.
You know, and then like all of a sudden there's this, the adults leave and then they click into their hair metal music. I think it would have been a lot cooler if they went from like a standard like soft rock song about how nice the town was into some like weird industrial sort of like
a complete tone change.
No wave sort of thing.
Change.
Yeah, exactly. To like go from something that is recognizable as a song to something that has very little structure whatsoever. You know, just like open up the weird gates and let it flood in.
Yeah, that is kind of frustrating about this movie. It's like, it is actually a pretty awesome concept. And if they could have just taken some of these things further in directions like that, it could have been a more memorable movie.
I think so too. I think I didn't really. There's not a whole lot about this movie in the world. I think it's because nobody except you and I care about it at this point. I didn't find a whole lot about it, but my sense is this movie was made specifically to capitalize on fear of devil worship and the popularity of hair metal. Like, I think the whole thing was, it was more about capitalizing on what was going on rather than shining a light on what was going on and changing anything.
And that's one thing I actually really, really love about 80s movies and 80s horror movies is that, well, it was the era of the VHS too. So there were VHS movies just being pumped out and churned out and thrown on movie shelves, like things that weren't getting theatrical releases, that were just filmed lower budget than you can imagine, lower budget than a cheap YouTube video today. And so there were a million subgenres of horror to the point that they were just capitalizing on anything that they could throw at the wall. There's Death Spa. There is a subgenre of evil gym movies.
Yeah.
There's a movie about evil golf. There's a golf movie. For any kind of subject you can think of, there's probably at least half a dozen really bad horror films, and Black Roses just happens to be one of the Satanic Panic ones.
Well, see, that right there is the problem. I mean, don't get me wrong at all. VHS and straight to video is the greatest thing to ever happen to film since its invention. Like without those straight to VHS movies when I was a kid, like I can say with almost 100% certainty that without VHS and straight to VHS movies in the 80s and 90s. Not only that, but I don't know if I would be alive today if it were like, that's how important film was to me growing up. Like it was such a crutch and such an escape for me when I was younger that without a lot of those insane movies that you could Return of the Living Dead probably wouldn't have existed. I mean, that got a theatrical release, but it's not the best example. Night of the Demons, that's a good example. Cemetery Man.
Yeah, Cemetery Man.
Yeah, I don't think I walk out of my teenage years, let alone function without that scene, you know? So you do have to kind of take the good with the bad when you're looking at movies like this. But I think this is definitely more on the bad end of things because it's like Asylum now. Asylum just releases stuff to capitalize on other stuff. You know, Warner Brothers puts out Suicide Squad. So Asylum puts out a terrible movie about a group of anti-heroes from public domain nursery rhymes to capitalize on that theme.
But I'm totally okay with that because with so much coming out, there's always at least one thing that just ends up somehow being amazing in that.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And as I think you and I have been living this for so long that we're just used to it. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of people, especially people who have no understanding about the VHS movement, which it's not hard to find people that don't know about that anymore now that it's essentially a dead medium. Like they don't understand how they'll never understand the feeling, and it's a shame, of finding this amazing hidden gem on a Blockbuster shelf, or like, if you're like me, like for a long time, the only place I could get movies was this sort of tiny aisle in Giant Eagle, you know, before our town got a Blockbuster. So most people will never understand the feeling of going and like picking this movie based on like a tagline and some pictures on the back, you know, and the cover art, and taking it home and either being super stoked because you found a Cemetery Man, or being super depressed but still okay because you can smoke a bowl with your friends and watch Black Roses and laugh at it. You know what I mean? Like, people don't really get to do that anymore. You just click on something and you find a movie, you like it, you keep watching it, you shut it off. And that's the other thing, because you spent so much money renting that VHS back in the day, you had to finish it because that was like the money you had for the week. Either you're working a crap job or your mom's giving you a couple of bucks. Like, you just spent it on that movie. So you're either wasting your money or you're making it through to the end of that film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think sometimes if you look back, it feels like when you had less, you had more.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that I'm not being an old fuddy-duddy about this either. Like, I love the fact that everybody has access to everything now. I think that's like living in a digital world. That's how it should be. You should be able to get your hands on any little piece of obscure, ridiculous music, cinema, books, media, whatever you want. You should be able to find it in a digital world. But you don't get the search anymore. And I think that a lot of the quality is sort of overlooked now because the search isn't there.
Well, I'd like to do a quick plug to guys for Vulcan Video in Austin. I think they've got at least 2 locations still. These guys are actual video stores. They're very small. They're really fun to go to. They've always got vintage posters on sale for great deals. And in the back room, they keep collections of independent VHS tapes you can rent. Don't lose them, because they're very rare, but if you want to recapture that feeling, go to Vulcan Video in Austin if you live in the area.
Yeah, well, if we're plugging local video stores, this place doesn't rent, and I haven't been there in a while, but it used to be a 3-level comics and books, music and movies. It's called Ides Entertainment. It's in Pittsburgh. I think it's downtown. I remember walking there from the Strip District at one point. But Ides Entertainment is sort of like that, only maybe without the rentals. There used to be a place in Pittsburgh that would rent old VHS, but I think it closed down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ides is the place to go in Pittsburgh for all that, like all your old school horror and exploitation needs.
Now, I'd like to take a machete right now and hack away all of the brambles and the like branches and everything on this path that we have clearly gone wide off of out into the forest and make our way back to the subject. The main character is an English teacher in this movie, right?
Yes.
Yes. And when we meet him, he's talking about philosophy. I don't even remember which author. It's an American author or a British author that you wouldn't have talked about in a regular English class in high school. And that brings me to the subject of English classes in 80s movies. Were they just intensely philosophical in the 80s? Or do they just have this weird idea that English classes are advanced college courses in high schools?
My guess is people were so out of touch with what high school actually was when they were making these movies that they didn't really know what people... Like, they read something in the book, or in a book, and were like, oh, this could be in a scene in a high school, you know, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, they read about some philosopher in a magazine.
Yeah,
or they took it in film school in an intro to philosophy class, and it was the only thing they remembered from that intro, so they threw it into their movie and changed it to high school. Yeah, I just think it's about being out of touch.
And there is a bit in the movie that we also have to talk about where the girl who's in love with the teacher is wearing a corset and standing in front of a mirror, and she pulls it down and gropes her boobs for like 2 or 3 minutes.
This is another thing I don't get about movies back then. Like, they did it with Conan the Barbarian as well. Like, people don't understand how people are supposed to touch boobs in movies.
Well, and also women don't just randomly stand in the front of the mirror and grope their own boobs. As far as I know.
Serious question. Do you ever hold your boobs in the frozen food section at a supermarket? Like, just not even thinking about it. Just put your hand, like, nothing sexual or weird. Just like, do you ever like put your hands on your boobs or like tap them in the frozen food section?
Now, are you saying that because you do that, Corey?
I'm saying that because I do it, but I'm not the only one.
No,
Other
I don't.
people have told me they've done that too.
No, not at all. What the hell?
Guys, if you've ever tapped on your boobs, or girls, if you've ever tapped on your boobs at the frozen food section of a supermarket, please let me know. It's for science.
Oh my God. My final thought I have on Black Roses is about that useless demon band at the end when the main guy's on fire. They don't do anything to help him. They just keep playing their bass line and drum combo.
Yeah, he's on fire. Like, same with the guy who came crashing out of the show on the stairs. Like, he comes out and his arm's on fire and nobody goes to help him. The teacher's like, let him burn.
Like,
and this poor kid's like, arms, yeah, pretty much. Like, oh, let him burn. He's an asshole. And granted, he was one of the ones that killed his parents, but like, yeah,
they
kid's
were
on
all
fire.
under
Yeah.
the demon's control. And also his dad was a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was he saying? Yeah, you know who has earrings like that? Girls and fags. That was like his one major line. So.
Oh, that was him. See, this is, I'm having such trouble with it. I thought it was the one who shot his dad. But now that you said that, I'm thinking back and yeah, you're right. God, this movie was terrible.
Yeah. I did kind of feel sorry for that kid who shot his dad though. At his like final lines, he was screaming. He was like demanding to know where his dad was. Mm-hmm. That was kind of sad.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
But he was a douchebag too, so I don't really care.
They were all douchebags. They were teenagers. I didn't like one of them.
Yeah, I'll go as far as to say I didn't like anybody in this movie. Like even the other parents. Like that one, the whole strip gin scene.
Oh my God! Yeah, gross.
Yeah, he even tries not, like, he knows he shouldn't be a gross, skeevy child diddling grown up, but he does it anyways. You know, it's such an easy thing to not be a creepy kid diddler. You just don't do that thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He should have just gone to the freezer section and groped his boobs.
And patted on his boobies, yeah. Well, again, Maddie, that's not a sexual thing. It's just like, I guess it's just something I do when I'm thinking and it's cold. I just tap on my man boobs. It's weird that you don't do it. Trust me. More people do this. Like, you're the weird one in this situation. I'm not.
That makes you feel better.
I don't need to feel better because I know I'm right in this case.
Well, I was massively disappointed during the final battle when, like, he was getting ready to kick ass because he had his gas can. He was going to the school. There was music playing, and I was like, all right, a good old-fashioned 80s, like, suit-up scene where it's all going to come together, and he's going to just beat the shit out of this guy, or he's got this whole plan. No, he just tries to pour gasoline on the stage, and then the guy looks over and he's like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, ah! And that was like,
and thank God that guy finally noticed him, because how do you not notice a dude in like a bright orange puffer vest rolling around on the floor dumping gasoline everywhere from a bright red can? What the hell, dude?
That was Black Rose?
Yeah, that was Black Roses, a movie I watched 4 times for you people. 4 times! Wow, when I could have watched... Ooh, it's my turn for a segue. When I could have been watching any of a number of movies from Hulu's Halloween festival that's going right now. Nice. Yeah, that was good, right?
Coyote Guy Jake, have you been watching the Halloween festival?
I watched a couple here and there, but like Corey, I haven't had a whole lot of time. Yeah, seriously, I agree, Coyote Guy Jake.
Yeah. Well, kidnapping podcast hosts and keeping them locked in your studio is tough.
That doesn't help, yeah. So Hulu's been doing this thing for a little over a year now, I think, where they've been releasing a horror movie based on a holiday of that month. I forget what they were calling it. Oh, After Dark or Into the Dark. Hulu Into the Dark. But they've started this year, and I hope they keep doing it. They're doing the Halloween Film Festival, and I'm on the page now. Well, there's not a whole lot on the actual, like the specific film festival. It looks like it's, they've got a few specifically like short films. There's 1, 2, 3, 5. There's 7 short films, but they've also got like, a bunch of Hulu originals, like this movie Little Monsters that looks interesting.
I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious about this. It's all about kids in kindergarten being prepared to fight the zombie apocalypse or something like that. What else? They're featuring Light as a Feather, which is a terrible show. Don't watch it. But yeah, Hulu's got all this Halloween stuff, and they have been doing a lot of well, it's ranged from bad to good, the horror stuff that they've been doing. But the point is, like, they're taking a chance on genre, and they're doing a lot of interesting things with it. So check out all this Hulu crap and enjoy it. You're welcome.
Do they do anything involving birds yet?
I don't know. Not like we do.
Yeah.
Not like we're about to do.
Not like we're about to do at all.
No, not at all. You know, I thought the Phantom of the Paradise was about a mall for the longest time.
Oh, that's because there is a Phantom of the mall.
Of the Paradise. I got a big horror story.
What was that?
A beautiful love story.
Well, let's hold on. Not beautiful.
I have to remember I have something to say about the female character in
From Greece.
The Juicy Fruits were great.
To glitter. And beyond. The story of a sound. The man who created it. The girl who
his recording studio.
The monster who stole it. And the
talk about how jealous I am about that recording studio.
The ultimate rock palace.
One of the actors.
Now they're not Juicy Fruits there anymore. I think they're like the Surf Bums or something.
Well, no, they're still the same characters.
They're not. Third time they come out, they're the Undeads. Yeah, see, they're the Juicy Fruits, then they're the Beach Bums, then they're the Undeads. That's what I was thinking.
Man,
man, you better get yourself a castrato for this.
Paul Williams as Swan.
I want you to stop terrorizing the paradise and rewrite your cantata.
And the Phantom.
That's the whole movie right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just
of the
showed
paradise.
There really is the Phantom.
Oh boy.
Hold on. So,
A terrible singer with a weird personality and a knack for songwriting gets betrayed by a literal soul-crushing record producer by the name of Swan.
He's also incredibly clumsy. I feel like that's an important thing to state.
Yes. And then he gets his symbolism mixed up and Faust of the Opera is born. This film drips with 1970s weird in all the best ways, complete with shag carpets, silk sheiks, and enough trippy lighting to make you swear you took twice as much acid as you'd planned on. This was directed by Brian De Palma. 2 years after this movie came out, he would go on to direct Carrie, which was somehow much more toned down when you compare it to Phantom of the Paradise. But you can still kind of pick up on that bizarre lighting and dramatics in both. He would also later go on to direct Scarface when he was even more toned down than when he made this one. But this was just basically Brian De Palma getting to make a paradise of weird and doing it spectacularly.
For sure.
Yeah. And I mean, if you didn't already know this was going to be campy as hell, Rod Serling narrating the intro probably would have tipped you off pretty quick.
I didn't remember that. When I heard his voice, I did like a triple take. And was so happy when I heard that. Oh, it was so great.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I was walking into this watching it for the first time. And I love rock operas, so I don't know why it took me so long to finally see this one. The Phantom, Winslow Leach, is, his disguise is a raven and a blackbird, right? The villain's name is Swan, and the love interest's name is Phoenix. It is like symbolism being bashed several times in the head with a mallet, and
it's more like we're being bashed in the head with a mallet with the word symbolism hastily scrawled on the handle.
Exactly. By Brian De Palma.
Exactly.
You were mentioning how, he was really clumsy.
I mean, the dude fell in a record press.
Yeah. Oh my god, yes. No, that was William Finley, and he was such a fun, quirky performer. And, at first, his weird behavior seemed like just awfully terrible acting, but then he put the Phantom's mask on, and every element of his caricature for me just came together.
I honestly never even considered him being a bad actor. I've just worked with so many, quirky, artsy types that I just assumed he was, people like that just exist in my world. You know what I mean? I'm sure that you've known a few too.
Oh, yes.
But since I'm in academics, they're all over academics, just these goofy people, these goofy, brilliant people. And that's definitely what he was.
Yeah. Now, I haven't seen a lot of his work, but Toby Hooper's Fury was pretty fun.
Are you talking about Brian De Palma's stuff?
No. William Finley, who played Winslow. I've seen Brian De Palma movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, that's pretty crazy. I'm going to look up, I want to check out William Finley's catalog here right quick, see if I've seen much. I think I looked at it the other day and nothing.
From what I've read, he was a diverse character actor. He passed away in 2012, unfortunately.
He was in he was in Sick Girl. He played the husband. Okay, in Masters of Four. He was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah,
okay.
So he's been in a lot of stuff as kind of bit parts mostly, but they say he always stands out, which I can believe easily. I can't confirm that because I haven't seen most of his stuff. But
yeah, I don't know much of it either. I've never seen The Fury either, I don't think.
Now, this movie Phantom of the Paradise has a lot of really cool nods to silent pictures, melodramas, just with the camera work and the little musical riffs alone, and the Keystone Cops at one point, and it's just, and the melodramatic sing imprisonment before he trips into that record record press. Oh my gosh.
He got life in prison too. Like life in prison for those drugs they planted on him.
A gram of coke?
Yeah. They made it a point to say that he got life in prison at some point.
Yeah, and then somehow at that point he also had like silver teeth.
Mm-hmm. That's the other crazy thing. Like the whole reason they put him in prison, the whole reason that plot device even existed was to give him metal teeth to make him look even weirder later on in the film.
Well, and because Paul Williams' character was evil and just wanted to torture the beauty of this man's art out of him.
Oh yeah. If you want to get fancy about it.
Now Jessica Harper, who plays Phoenix, was in Suspiria. But a lot of websites have mislabeled which one she was in. She wasn't in the remake as far as I can recall, but she was the main character in the original, so it's really weird to me that a lot of websites get that wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing her in the remake. Well, apparently she was in there. She played a character named Anke, or Anka.
Well, I don't know. But she was definitely the main character in the original Suspiria, and more websites still need to credit that one over the remake for her.
So, she was also in Shock Treatment. Are you familiar with Shock Treatment at all?
Yes, I'm familiar with Shock Treatment.
Do you not like it?
I don't like anything Rocky Horror.
Oh, see, I don't even consider this Rocky Horror. Like, I'm not, like, I like Rocky Horror, but I love Shock Treatment. And her voice, like her numbers especially, like
she's got a lovely voice.
Yeah.
So the set design, lighting, direction, camera work, costumes, editing, each one of these elements in this film had someone who basically became known as sort of an expert involved. You have Jack Fisk, you got Larry Pizer, you got Rosanna Norton, you got Paul Hirsch. It's just basically a powerhouse of really talented individuals making a chaotic, wonderful film.
Yeah, I did like it. I think it was very, very 70s sort of comic booky, not in a bad way. Like, everything is very bright, which I like because everything is so muted and like blue now. I love seeing very colorful backdrops like this movie gives us. And I especially love the little room that Swan gives
Winslow.
Yeah, sorry. The little room that Swan gives Winslow to record in his private studio is full of old vintage. Well, it would be vintage now. It'd probably be new then. Everything on that wall, I'm pretty sure I'd have to like sit down and look at close-ups of everything, but that entire room with all those cables and stuff, most of that is probably vintage analog synthesizer gear, which is so cool to me. Like you pull one patch cable from one part of the wall and stick it into another part of the wall, you get a completely different sound, a completely different sequence. I just want to sit in that room and play around for the rest of my life, frankly, but I'd take a couple of hours. Oh, that room is so beautiful.
And I really actually love the sequence where Swan was playing with the Phantom's vocals while he was in that room,
Yeah, that was really cool, too.
Yeah, it was like, well, why couldn't he just use him as the star of the show? Because he, like, with the costume, like, it works for, but then first, would he get him to cooperate? And second, he prefers to just torture him, so.
Yeah.
But, Paul Williams, who plays Swan, he actually composed the music for this film as well as played the villain.
Yeah, I caught that at the end, that he was responsible for all the music, too.
Yeah, and he was so good at playing an evil monster, and you could tell he was having a hard time. It was hard to believe he was the pianist in the Muppet movie, and this is the same man who basically wrote, Why Are There So Many Songs About Rainbows?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he did so well, though. And I think that's why, because he's such a tiny little unassuming guy.
Like, just such a sweetheart.
Yeah, for him to just
for the Carpenters,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was great. I think we talked about it the other day. We just want Paul Williams to be like the bad guy in all of our movies now.
I would love to see Paul Williams just straight up play Satan, like in a full role, which he technically did play.
Yeah, he was
Satan
pretty much Satan here. Although he did say he was under contract as well.
Yeah, because he talked to Satan in the mirror. He had that conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
Video,
that's right. My memory's shot this week. I would like to touch on this whole Juicy Fruits conundrum for a second. So when we first see them, they are a 50s pop throwback band called the Juicy Fruits. Mm-hmm. Then we see them again as the Beach Bums. Mm-hmm. So when did the car bomb happen? Were they the Beach Bums when the car bomb happened? Or were they still the Juicy Fruits? Do you remember?
He blew up the stage when they were the Beach Bums.
Okay. So they didn't, so that throws out my theory. So what I had originally thought was like, it was either 3 different bands, or every time they got killed, Swan would resurrect them as a new band, and that's how they ended up the final time as the Undeads.
Mm-hmm. You know what? That would make sense, because he has everyone on contract, right?
Yeah. But yeah, everybody, the Juicy Fruits, the Beach Bums, and the Undeads were all played by the same, like that band, it's all the same people. And I thought they did really great, being very, very different versions of... I thought they did really well with the genre switch up, because you've got like the 50s throwback with the Juicy Fruits, the Beach Boys ripoff with the Beach Bums, and then you've got the Undeads, which they were sort of, I mean, this movie came out in 74, so it's right around like, or was it 74?
This movie came out
74, yeah.
74, yes.
So this was before like punk rock really was doing anything, and there wasn't a whole lot, like goth wasn't really a thing, but this sort of pulled from like,
it was like, it looked like Kiss, but it sounded like new wave almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you just described like, well, you described sort of the synth heavy side of goth, but they're theatrical like Kiss, but their music is closer to new wave. Yeah.
Well, I loved how, and again, props to Paul Williams. I loved how they almost explored every musical genre of the 60s and into the mid 70s through this whole film. Like they touched on every
pretty much,
kind. Yeah. It was more of a love story to the music than anything else.
Yeah.
It was great. And now I'd like to talk about Garrett Graham as Beef. Oh gosh, when he first opens his mouth and you hear him talk. That is the dumbest running gag in this movie, and completely unnecessary.
And it was such a big thing to do back then too. Like, oh, we've got this big tough guy. Let's give him a lisp and make him gay.
Make him a raging, offensive homosexual.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't funny. And I don't even think I would have found it funny then either. Like, I don't think that's an example of humor not aging well. I just think it's a stupid joke.
Yeah, and it's not even like it was bad enough to be offensive, because it was just his voice. They didn't do any weird sex things like they usually do with that offensive stuff. But it was enough to be like, well, let's not do that, guys. Come on now. Yeah, it should have been scrapped. It was dumb.
Yeah, you're better than that, Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah, I mean, he was already just going to be the character you didn't like based on the fact that he was not the Phantom.
Douche.
Yeah, he was a douche. Yeah. He could have just been a douche and that would have been fine.
Yeah, that would have been enough.
His voice was cool though, like the singing was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved every single character. I love that every single character in this film basically had their own Faustian story in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Winslow Leach had a Faustian bargain. Yeah. Phoenix had a Faustian bargain. Then, of course, there's Swan, who his was more Dorian Gray, but every single person had some kind of trading their soul element to this. Even that agent at the beginning of the movie, basically, he said he'd do anything just to torture the singer who he'd built up, Like, every single person. No one is without redemption in this film.
Yeah. Oh man, even what was I just gonna say? It just went in my brain and out of my brain. Oh, this doesn't have anything to do with their Faustian trips, but no, you know what it does? Phoenix's Faustian arc is not only not only fits into what you're saying, but it's also the most believable arc I've ever seen in a movie like this. You know what I mean? Like, she wanted what she wanted, and she went for it. You know, as soon as she got the power, she went with it. You know what I mean? It wasn't this like love conquers all nonsense, you know, even because she didn't know Winslow. You know, she met him like twice before he was the Phantom. Yeah. So why would she risk everything on this random weirdo, you know? And of course, like, shoot, I probably would have been attracted to Paul Williams if I was in her situation. Yeah. You know?
Which, he really should have kept short hair, because, the long hair aged him a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I cut my hair. Long hair either works for you when you're older or it doesn't, and it definitely didn't for me.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed this film. It was lavish, it was fun, it was over the top, it was very silly, but it was having fun with all of that. Mm-hmm. It was self-aware in the best kind of way.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that we'll never ever get again. You know what I mean? Like, we'll never get something that off the wall again. And if we do, it'll be amazing and groundbreaking and phenomenal. But yeah, movies like this are just the ingredients just aren't there anymore, I don't think, and it's unfortunate.
Well, it's because you've got to get multiple incredible artists in their fields. Like, you know, editors, lighting, design, costume, makeup, everything. You've got to get them to all work together and do their best, but also realize that their element is not the main star of the show. Making a great show is what counts, you know?
Right, right.
And that is very difficult with people when they're well known or really, really talented.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend Phantom of the Paradise, but you know, don't follow it up with Black Roses.
You know what? I'm going to recommend both just because I watched Black Roses 4 times. All of you should watch Black Roses at least once because of the sacrifice I made for you.
Yeah. Are you going to go to the concert again tonight? Black Roses concert? You got a free ticket.
I hate you.
Well, I hate you even more because of the movies we're going to be talking about next week. Specifically, not only because we're talking about 3 of them, but after I agreed to one of them, I remembered I'd seen it before, and I don't look forward to watching it again.
Yeah, I'm not stoked about any of these movies, I don't think.
So, real quick, let me pull the names of these up. The first one
I've got them right here. I can
Okay. All right. Why don't you tell the audience what we're going to talk about next week?
All right. So next week we've got Slaughterhouse Rock.
Which I'm cool with that one.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it, but I'm excited to see it. Rocktober Blood, which I know nothing about.
Oh, terrible movie, but really fun music. You might disagree, but I really love the vocals.
All right. And our bonus film, our third film, is another Thor movie, Zombie Nightmare.
Oh my god.
And I did find all 3. I have access to all 3, so we're doing it.
Guys, we're not even doing the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of Zombie Nightmare.
I almost asked you if it would be okay to watch that one instead.
I know, because we got to do the whole uncut
version. Yeah.
Because Mystery Science Theater 3000, I love them, but they're not very fair with their cuts of movies, so you're not getting...
No.
You're really not getting the full picture when you see whatever they're showing.
Well, I've got them all ready to go. I've got them on my tablet. I'm going to go spend the night in my freezing cold trailer to check for leaks and watch at least 2 of them this evening.
I'm going to talk to my brother about this movie probably because Chris actually knows a lot about Zombie Nightmare. And there was a period he was kind of obsessed with this movie.
Really?
Yeah. Everything from Mystery Science Theater 3000, he finds out about the films that they show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That was his thing. I get that.
Yeah. So maybe I'll get a recording for him for the next episode that I can cut into this show, guys. Get my brother's take on Zombie Nightmare.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about this next episode is that it gets us closer to the final Rocktober episode and Todd in the Book of Pure Evil, which I'm so excited for.
Oh, I'm going to power through that series all over again, and it's going to be amazing.
I can't believe I haven't started watching them already and blown everything else off.
Oh, man. Okay, so if you would like to check out our blog, which, I've got an entry every day this month for the October Halloween blogathon, 31 Days of Halloween. You can find us at hallow-holic.blogspot.com or hallow-holic.wordpress.com.
You can find us on Twitter at Nowhere23 or by simply searching Hallow-Holics.
You can contact our email address or contact us through our email address at hallow-holics@outlook.com.
And send us an email or a tweet about the whole boobs in the frozen foods aisle thing, because I'm very curious about this.
Corey is weird.
I am not the weird one here. Thank you. Finally, we have a special guest who will be mentioning Podpedia. I'm not really your special guest. I'm more your host tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm here to tell you about a website called Podpedia. I think what it does is collects all sort of podcasts. And it makes accessing them easier, and you get to learn about them by reading their bio and stuff like that. So if you want to learn more about Hallow-Holics, you need to go to podpedia.org and search for their portal, HHA. And the main reason I'm doing this is because there's a man behind me with a gun to my head.
Actually, hey, could you help us get out of here? Okay, he just shook his head no. All right, well.
Yeah, why? He's been threatening me for over a year. Why would he help us?
Well, so we could continue to live on and tell people about Podpedia. I don't know. It was worth trying.
Well, I figure if he thought we were actually going to die, he would probably get us out. Not that obviously, but he would probably find a way to help us. Mm. I don't think he thinks we're going to die. It's why I'm not super worried about anything ever, because I figure that guy won't let anything happen. Like, I think he wants to be the one to murder me.
Oh, he's kind of like the Genosaji.
Yeah, exactly like him. Feel his spoons on the back of my head.
Well, Coyote Guy Jake, we've recorded another episode. And I think I can safely say that we've met your agreement tonight, and you do not have to play Black Roses for a fifth time.
So far, so good, you two, but I ain't promising a thing. Not until this month is done.
Oh, God.
And I'm free to rock and roll.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Good night, guys.
Thanks for listening.